My name is Alex, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Harry Potter themed wand out of wire, clay, glue, and acrylic paint. This is my first YouTube video on this channel, so I don't really know what I'm doing, but any feedback would be appreciated, so let me know in the comments down below what you'd like to see and what you think, and yeah. So first you're going to want to start out by taking your wire and measuring it to the length that you want your wand to be in the end. The length of your wand will fluctuate throughout the process, but while we're adding clay, we will be peeling back the tips to make it be the length of the wire. So it should stay about the same. Snip it off. Next you're going to want to take a thinner gauge wire, and you're going to want to take some needle nose pliers. Take your wire and wrap it around the tip of your pliers to make a little ring that you can stick your thicker gauge wire, that is the base of your wand, into it. We're gonna wrap the thinner gauge wire around the thicker gauge wire so that when we add clay, it can stick to the metal better. Using wire isn't 100% necessary, but it helps make sure that the wand is sturdier, and if it's dropped, it makes it less likely to break. So I prefer to use wire. Next up, you're going to take some clay. I prefer air dry clay because I don't like having to deal with figuring out how much clay I've used and figuring out how long I need to have it in the oven for, but that's up to personal preference. You're going to want to take a piece of your air dry clay and start rolling it out until it's the length of your wire. You're going to want the clay to be relatively thin when it's rolled out, because less is more in this situation. Now that our wand has its wire core and has its clay outside, it's time to add the details to it. Before we add the details, I'm pinching off each of the edges and then piercing them back together. This ensures that it's the same length that I measured when I first measured out the wire in the beginning. You're going to want to continue to roll every once in a while to make sure that you don't get too many fingerprints or indents from where you keep your hands holding onto the wand, because soft clay will take fingerprints. Now you're going to take some extra small little worms of clay and a sturdy silicone shaper and start adding your your worms onto your wand. So for this wand, I'm doing sort of a half and half design. I'm making a handle for the wand and making the top of it be rather plain. This is totally up to personal preference, but you can choose to do whatever you would like to do. Anytime that you add worms onto your wands, you're going to want to make sure that you smooth out both sides of it, because any air bubbles will lead to cracks. Now that I have my handle figured out, I'm going to take some smaller worms and create a detailed, what looks like vines coming out of the base of the wand. None of this adds to the structure of the wand, it's all detail at this point, but I personally like the vined look. So you're again going to want to lay out your worm where you want it, push it down gently, and then use your silicone shaper to push on each of the edges to make sure that you're getting a smooth seam. Don't leave any air for air bubbles to come through. So because I'm using air dry clay, now we're going to wait 24 hours for it to dry. But if you're using oven baked clay, this would be the time that you would want to bake it so that it solidifies. So now we're going to take some inconspicuous packaging from some Fortune 500 company to use to cover our surface to make sure that we don't get paint everywhere. You're going to want to pull out your brushes, your water cup, and any of the paint that you think you're going to use. So here I'm grabbing a medium-sized brush. You don't want one that's going to be too big, that's going to be hard to control into the smaller detailed areas, but you also don't want one that's too small that doesn't get into the little, that doesn't cover entirely, because it's just going to take too long. So you're going to want to make sure that you choose the right size brush for your wand. So now you're going to want to take your acrylic paint, and it's a must-have to struggle with the cap. But shake it up, open it up, and pour it out. And then cover fully. To mimic the wooden look of wand textures, I use a technique called dry brushing, where I take my paintbrush, I mix in a little bit of black acrylic paint into my color, and then I wipe off the majority of the paint until there's only a little bit left on the paintbrush, and then I go back onto the wand and try and cover it in vertical strokes. This makes it look more like bark, and it gives it that sort of wooden look, even though there's no wood, it's just clay. Also, don't forget to wash your brushes in between each of your coats. Even if you're mixing into a darker color, you still want to wash your brushes in between just in case. You don't know what color you might have picked up. You don't know what you might have dipped into by accident. So just make sure to wash between. So here you can see I'm doing the vertical strokes to try and give that bark look. So now we're going to repeat the process with the handle, making sure that we're keeping a clean cut between both colors. When you're doing a dual toned wand like this, it's important to make sure that there's a clear distinction of where the handle connects to the top of the wand. So here you can see I'm just gently making sure that that cutoff where the dark handle meets the light top is very clean and crisp. After my camera randomly decided to die, it is now time for us to do the dry brushing of the handle as well. So again, we're just going to take one little drop of black paint. Black is a very overpowering color when it comes to acrylic paint, so less is more. You really don't need that much. So again, we're just going to wipe off the majority of the paint on the paintbrush, and then we're going to do vertical strokes on the handle to make the bark. We're going to be careful about that handle area, and then we're going to wipe off our paint, and then we're going to make sure to wash our brush just to make sure that our bristles stay nice and soft. And back in the container it goes. So now my secret is that I like to seal with Mod Podge, specifically matte Mod Podge. I think it gives a nice soft shine to the wand without giving it too much shine. Plus, it helps make sure that the acrylic paint doesn't crack, and it makes sure that the wand stays sealed. So you're going to want to dip your paintbrush into the Mod Podge, and then just make sure that it's a nice even coat over the entire wand. I will stress that you do need to wash your paintbrushes after using Mod Podge on them very well, because Mod Podge will harden your brushes. So now that we're all sealed up, we're basically done. Just let it dry and onto our glamour shots. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you liked this video, and if you did, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought and what you'd like me to do next. I'm still new to the whole YouTube scene, so I really don't know what I'm doing, but just let me know what you think and I'll try and get back to you. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!